automatically?
Yeah, like LinkedIn will do a lot of that for you, which is
Okay.
why I love the LinkedIn Live platform. It'll just tell people, hey, this is starting in 20 minutes. Hey, your favorite people are doing this cool thing. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
So on my platform as well, or do I need to do that manually? Are you saying
yeah, I would do that manually. Although I do this to LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, to YouTube at the same time. So like you can actually pull the YouTube link and start that out too. But anyway, I'm here for this. I'm here for the social shorts, as you know. That's the secret.
I know.
That's the biggest secret. But yeah, so last night we went to this film premiere that I'm like doing the marketing for this like indie film, and I was like coming home from my mom's house. It was her 70th birthday, and I was just like in a hurry, and so like did my hair, and then just like did the almost like a 80s side ponytail, just like swooped it all this way. And then I woke up this morning, I was like, it still looks fantastic. I don't need to do anything with it. So this is last night's hair, last night's makeup, and I left my mascara at my mom's house though. So like I have no mascara. So I'm like, it's like extra on the eyeliner. I'm like, whatever, we're gonna put glasses on. So this is how girls fake it, everybody. Just so you know, these are the secrets that we're starting with today on podcasting. Also, this is a window. This is indirect lighting.
Yeah, you look great. I know. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of video chats and interviews and stuff with people, and they're just like, "What, Vanessa? Your lighting is so good." I'm like, "It's a window."
Natural lighting is the best. We all know that.
100%.
Let's just be real here.
Start there.
Yeah, let's just start there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I do want to share something with you before we get started.
Please.
So look what I got.
Yeah,
look what I got. So this is actually my ADHD notebook, because it's like random, and you could tell like where I procrastinated and it's just all over the place. But I've been really enjoying this. I would just want to thank you and Holland for sending me this. Yeah, I love this notebook. So
I'll show you.
I love it.
Our first merch that we ever got was actually gifted to us by Holland's mom for Christmas.
See,
right? And we were just like, this is impeccable. It's exactly what we would want. And like, that's what I was like, wait, we love this so much. Should we do merch for other people? That seems fine. So we're like, any of our vendors would just like send you stuff. Like sometimes the hat, sometimes the notebook, sometimes the whatever. Like, yes, everyone needs more merch.
Listen, I agree. There was one of the things that I feel like, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk a little bit about it, but I've seen like a lot of the YouTube creators do really well is get into merchandising. And I think it's like they understand. They got the t-shirts, they got the mugs, they got the coasters. So I'm always like encouraging like podcasters, we got to step our game up, because merchandising could be a pretty lucrative piece, especially if you have an audience, a community that you can sell to. So don't sleep on merchandising. I mean, right here. I mean, bam.
And all it takes is like, sometimes it's just phrases that people use all the time, but with your logo on it. So like I have a sweatshirt, first piece of merch I ever bought from a podcast. It literally says "fuck around and find out" on it. And then it just has like the podcast name, Girls Gotta Eat, in the bottom. I was like, I love this podcast. I love this phrase is my whole personality, frankly. I was like, this is where it's at. I love this. Like we just made hats for Ask Work Wife that is stuff we say all the time. And one of them is ambitious. So you've just got a bunch of merchandise that says ambitious, because we're for ambitious women. And then our logo. The other one that I love is one of our principles. So it says ABI, always be interviewing, in like the FBI kind of logo style. I love that hat. I'm like, this is a core tenet of our belief system, and everyone needs to be doing it. And you get it immediately. ABI, always be interviewing, like coffees for closers, no coffees for interviewers. That's where we're at,
See, this is why I love your branding brain over here, Vanessa, is because you think of these things that are catchy, but also are really needed to promote whatever you're promoting, and building your brand. So I know we're going to talk about branding, because, you and I are going to go all in on that. So I'm really excited about that.
But I think first we have to settle a debate for people. Audio or video?
Ooh.
Like, I know. Hot takes. Like, let's just exactly. Like, are we in the boxing ring all of a sudden?
Is it audio?
Video? Right. Like that. And my problem is like, I think I'm of 12 different minds on this. So like, I would love to hear you. Like you do this professionally. You like literally consult on people's podcasts professionally. I do this for fun, whatever, on the side project. But like, what do you find yourself telling people when they come to you with this audio or video question?
So this is a topic that's been going around, circulating even in the podcasting space.
Really?
All the RSS feed, OG audio heads of this video. What is this video coming into our space? Let's protect it. How dare Spotify and YouTube come into our podcasting world. And here's the truth. First off, the first introduction I got into podcasting were video podcasts. So, ladies and this was back in 2008. So this is a few years back. Yeah, this is back old school. Like,
is it pixelated?
What's that?
Is the video pixelated? Like, how many?
No, actually, they were legit. They were actually hosted on Wistia, I think was the platform.
Okay.
But there were two shows. One of them was called Rise to the Top, and the other one was called Mixergy, which I believe is still around. But there were business entrepreneurship shows. Okay. And they were doing video podcasts. So I think this whole conversation is like, oh, this new phenomenon, video. And I'm like, no, bro, it's been around
since
for
TV.
Quite some. Yeah, exactly. It's been around, especially for podcasting. There were, online video shows, and then of course podcasts came in with, the RSS, and I get that. And then it went audio heavy, and then there was this breakup, and then now it's converging. So to answer your question, Vanessa, I'm all about, it's not about audio versus video. I'm like audio and video. Can we talk about that? Like, it's and.
And I think the and comes from two places. One, if you have the money and the production capability to do video right away, do it. My philosophy is always start with the most complicated piece of content and then strip mine it for everything else. Like, from video, you can pull just the audio. From video, you can pull just a transcript and do text. From video, you can pull video. You can also pull short. Like, it's the thing it's the present that keeps on giving, right? So that's my number one. But my number two is, like, if you don't have the money to do that, don't let not having video stop you. So, like, that's where Holland and I were at with Ask Your Wife. We had conceived this whole thing as a video show first, but you'll note you've never seen video. It's all audio. But then we added, that's my light stand and my light kit. So, like, we've added video at some point, but, like, actually video is a arm of marketing rather than an arm of product development in the podcast. So we actually never put out a full, like, video podcast episode. What we do is just, like, get video while we're recording an audio episode and then pull the social shorts. And, like, that's a thing that, like, I think is a great way to do it. Because then you don't have to, like, I think the expectation of people on a full video episode podcast is that it be more highly produced. Right. So if you don't have the wherewithal to do that, AI will take care of cutting social shorts out of video. Do you know what I mean? Like, so fast. If you've not seen it in Adobe Premiere, it just, like, go through. It's like crazy. It's like Adobe's possessed or something, because it just, like, goes through so fast. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, they can both be tools that you're using, but you have to make sure you're using it in the way that, like, is going to benefit you right now. Like, your message needs to get out there. What's the fastest way to do that is of the highest quality you can afford? I
agree. And I also will add to that I always tell, especially audio podcasters, that if you're not using video at some capacity, you are at a competitive disadvantage.
True.
Because I think it's a no-brainer, considering that YouTube has invested a lot of time and energy into the podcasting space. I don't know if you saw that, but actually they have a tab now. If you go to YouTube,
it's awesome.
So they're really, like, investing heavy into our podcasting space. So it's exciting as a podcaster, and for all podcasters, to be able to embrace that. And again, just like you said, even if at bare minimum you're just using the video just for short clips to promote, to market your show, that's super effective. And I'm like, use the tools. There's a lot of things that we can use in our toolbox. And I do believe that video is one of the most personal. Like, I feel like audio, Vanessa, and let me know, because when I listen to your podcast, I'm like, man, I get to know them. I love voice. I really, really do. I feel like it's probably one of the most purest, like, authentic ways to share your message and to build your community. And then you see the video and you're like, oh, okay, I could totally put a voice to the face. That's super dope. It adds a different dynamic to the personal brand, right? To the host. So again, I don't think it's a versus. I'm always like, I cringe when I see some of the podcast experts say, oh, it's audio, and we got to make sure that we, save our RSS and forget video, and people are listening to more audio than video. So ha. And I'm like, dude, come on. It's audio and video. I think at the end of the day, podcasters are becoming YouTubers are becoming podcasters. It is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. Like, let's love on each other and just create amazing content. So that's my take on it.
There's no reason to, I agree with you. There's no reason to be antagonistic about it. Like, And I'll tell you, I think the reason you're seeing this like reconvergence that you were talking about with like audio and video back together is that the barrier to entry on video is so low. I'll tell you, like when we shoot video, we shoot it on an iPhone 14 because you can now take this, and my back is totally broken. I need to go get it fixed. But
well, hold on real quick, Vanessa. And by the way, I know there's people watching live. Comment in the comment section. Do you listen to audio podcasts or do you listen to video podcasts? I'm really curious. And of course, you can drop it on the replay. Really? So going back, you know what's really interesting? What you just said, that before everybody was like, audio is the low entry level. Like that's, you just need a microphone, a laptop, hosting service. That's it. Voila. But you're saying video. You're saying the video, and basically because you're keeping it minimal, like it's phone, webcam. I love that.
We literally have 2 of these phones. One of them used to be my grandma's phone, so I just upgraded it, and I was like, I'm taking that, Grandma. She's like, that's fine. And then we just like, you can take these straight out to a USB now, like through USB-C, take it out to a hard drive, and then just like dump it into Descript and like let AI do the thing. I will also tell you secretly, this whole setup, this is the camera on my laptop built in. This is the audio on my laptop built in. So like live video is like the lowest barrier to entry. This takes nothing the only thing that I have done is make sure that I'm hardwired to the internet. That's all this is. But that's it. It creates
and you look great.
Oh, thank you.
You sound great, but you got the natural lighting. Yeah. So I think the lesson here, Vanessa, is like for people who are trying to get into the video side of content creation, whether it's a podcast or a live stream like we're doing right now, again, you don't need to break the bank to get into video, because before it used to be like, lighting and, audio, which again, all those are essentials. I'm not going to negate the fact that, those are, we do need that for great, content, but to get in the mix, no pun intended. I mean, we don't really need we don't need much. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. And it comes down to like, you need to know for yourself what your message is. Who are you and what your uniqueness is? And then like, what are you trying to add to the conversation? And what's the fastest way to get there? Like, I think that answers the question. You know what I mean? And like, we're talking about what's more personal. I have people, you'll die for this. I went to my friend's baby shower a couple of years ago, and I walk in. I've met her husband a couple of times. They went to law school together, met at the graduation, blah, blah, blah. Met their wedding, I think, randomly. But I got there, and I was at their house for a few minutes, and then he came up to me. He's like, "Oh my God, I know exactly who you are." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I listen to your voice every morning because my wife listens to your podcast every morning." He's like, "I know who you are." I was like, "Oh, great." You know what I mean? Like, so he feels like I'm like part of their morning routine in their house. So he feels like he has a relationship with me, even though he's not listening to the podcast for his, his career, his anything. He's a lawyer. We don't speak to lawyers unless we're paying them. But like, it's casual. But like my personality is the same on video, on audio, whatever. And some people have a hard time with that. So when it comes down to like, who are you and can that authentically come out in video or audio? That's the question. Like you'll notice that Holland is not typically on video. She doesn't like to see herself on video. It just causes a lot of anxiety for her. So like I only put on video when I absolutely need her to be there. That's it. So like, and so when she shows up authentically the most, it's when she doesn't have to look at a video representation of herself. So I'm like, great, let's keep that boundary for you and show up authentically somewhere else. If audio allows you to do that more freely, that's what I want. I want that real connection. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yes.
Yes. And yeah, because it's interesting because audio to me, so I was doing an audio podcast for many, many years. And then when I got into video, I noticed that it took me a minute, and I'm still getting comfortable with video, like just because I'm so used to expressing myself through words. And I feel like I can just flow and be authentic and just relax and do my thing when I'm not looking at the camera. One thing I see that's been really challenging, I think YouTubers are doing a fantastic job. I think their transition into podcasting, it's a lot smoother versus audio getting into video, because creatives are normally, we're introverted and we get into audio. Right. Of course. But there's always like this kind of safe space to be able to create without looking at a camera. But when you're doing video, it is a whole different, I mean, like you said earlier, it's a different animal, because you're performing in front of a camera, you're speaking. And it's like trying to entertain and educate while trying to get it right here and try to like articulate your message. And so it's a whole different ballgame. So all that to say is that I think it's being aware of your strengths and weaknesses. If you're comfortable with just if you're a wordsmith, if you just express yourself with words and audio, I think it's okay to do strictly audio. You don't need video, but consider video as an opportunity to market your show. So again, it's not versus, it's and how can we use these tools to maximize our marketing growth? I think that's really what it comes down to.
I agree. I love it. When it comes to marketing, I think we have to throw this in here. You and I are going to be on a panel at Social Success Conference, April 24th through the 26th. It's a full weekend of just like the craziest, coolest people you've ever met. It's put on by Brittany Crossan at Fun Love Media. And like, we're totally going to be there. And we're going to save most of our marketing secrets for that conference. So make sure you come join us. I think it's first of all going to be a party. It's like you and me and Freddie. And I think that's just going to be the wildest panel that has ever paneled, frankly.
At the George R. Brown Convention.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know, right? What's more Houston than that? I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about though, before we get that, like this, and this is something I pitched Brittany on actually, is like, I want to talk about branding. And she was like, I already have people to do that. And I was like, fine. I'll trust. I checked them out. They're fantastic. I love what they're saying. But like for this conversation now, like I would like to talk to you about branding because I feel like your personal brand is so strong. Like I know exactly who you are and I love it. I don't know if you feel that way, but I'm like, I say like 3 things about you when I talk about you to other people. I'm like, Ozeal is head of PodHouston. He's a Puerto Rican and he's awesome. That's it. Like that's all everyone needs to know. And like when I say that to people, are like, oh, so he's fun, he's high energy. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like he's just the best person ever. So I'm like, I feel like I'm the same way. Like my personality is its own brand. Like I could just exist 1000%. And you would get it. You know what I mean? Like I have friends of mine over my entire life who repeat phrases back to me. My problem is I go through catchphrases like cereal boxes. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's a different flavor of the week, but my friends will remember whatever I was saying at that era of their life. And so they'll repeat these back to me. I'm like, where did you hear that? And they're like, from you. I was like, whoops. So when you're memorable, the brand is, but like when you're not, like, I don't know. I feel like I hear a lot of people that are like, oh, I have a podcast. And then I turn it on and I'm like, I can't distinguish between any of the voices in this room. And 2, like, I haven't figured out who you are within the first 10 seconds, what you're trying to tell me and why I should keep listening. So like, what are we, if I could teach all podcasters one thing, it'd be like how to build a brand. You know what I mean? Like
1000%. So, back in the days, when people were starting podcasts, you can get away with, I'm going to start a podcast to interview entrepreneurs and be very general. And I'm like, man, you just can't do that now in 2025 and moving forward. And this being in marketing, like remarkable marketing and branding, it's all about packaging and positioning. You know that, Vanessa. So that's why I tell podcasters to really like embrace that and lean into that, because if you don't package your show from an aesthetic standpoint, from even like a brand voice, like a tonality to it. Are you urban? Are you humorous? Are you serious? Are you all those little nuances I feel get skipped over from a lot of new podcasters getting into this space. And I'm like, it's competitive. Now we have, and I said this many years ago, I'm like, we got to start leveling up what we do here as personal brands and as interviewers, because the pros are coming. And what ended up happening? Sure enough, the NPR started coming into podcasting. The celebrities are here. Now the YouTubers, which are great behind the camera, and all that. So I'm like, we really got to start considering having a conversation, podcasters, on how can you package and position yourself to where you do stand out. Because one of the biggest things, this, Vanessa, is everybody's like, oh, it's gotten so competitive. It is. It's getting noisier, which means that your branding has to be dialed in. And if you don't have a solid brand, you cannot attract an audience, which will result in all the other things that you're trying to do. And you can't market and monetize anything because you skip the biggest step, which is branding, brand. So we need to have a more conversation about that for podcasters. I feel like it's skipped over.
they're just like, I think I said this to you the other day, like the worst words I ever hear, because I work with a lot of influencers, so I'm having the same conversation with influencers, and the words of death that I hear are when an influencer's gotten big for something, one video of theirs went viral on TikTok, whatever, and now now they're kind of seeing it settle, and then they start asking questions of their audience. What do you guys want to see on here? I'm like, stop. Mm-hmm. I can get fashion advice or buy earrings or like, figure out what's the latest with Meghan Markle from anyone on the internet. Yeah. Why am I coming to you? What's your specific point of view? That matters. Like, Pete, have a point of view. Like, mm-hmm. I want to know, do you like cilantro? Do you not like cilantro? Mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. And I want you to have and I feel like, I don't know, maybe in this day and age, I feel so old saying that like, we've just gone to this, like, we all need to be vanilla. We don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to have a hot take. We don't want to have a point of view because we just need to be everything to everyone. And I tell people this all the time. You cannot be the Cheesecake Factory menu. You cannot do it. They are very good at what they do, but like, guess what? Their job is to make you eat cheesecake. That's in the title. And they don't care what you eat before that. They'll give you everything from all over the world, right? But I'm like, there's only one company that does that well, and it's the Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. So like, you cannot be the Cheesecake Factory menu to everybody. So what are you doing? What's your point of view? Who are you? What kind of conversation are you trying to join? Like these are all existential questions, but they're all brand questions. The
positioning.
Yeah, exactly. Like I interviewed with the company recently, and I was asked to like provide a couple types of content that I think would be really good on their social. And I was like, okay, first of all, I'm going to build you 25 slides rather than 3 to 4, because what you need is a system. And I started with a positioning chart. Like, you guys' visuals are more catalog and they need to be more fashion. And because your price point is not commodity, it's luxury. So I put those two things on an axis and then put their competitors around it. Like, here's where you think you are, here's where you actually are. So by changing just a couple things about the influencers you work with, the photographers you work with, you can completely change the way you're positioned and perceived in the market, which is more in line with what you want to be. So let's go. Like, it takes only a couple tweaks, but you have to understand first what the market actually looks like. You know what I mean?
I love that. And I want to add to that. So I ruffled some feathers not too long ago because we like to ruffle a little bit. Speaking of, a point of view, because here's the thing with this, and I'm super passionate about this because I was seeing a lot of podcast consultants and marketers, create video ads and, you should start a podcast and everyone needs to start a podcast now. And it was all these little, marketing messages of everybody should start a podcast. And I was here and I was like, no, not everybody should just start a podcast. Yeah. And that was I was planting my flag there, not because I was trying to be combative, is because I really truly believe not everybody should start a podcast. Is there an opportunity there? Yes. But if you're not showing, authentically, if you're not there to really give to your community and show up with a point of view and contribute to the conversations that's happening in the ecosystem, then don't get into the space. Like, we don't need more noise, right? We need leaders and people that are passionate about showing up with the community. So people were like, what are you talking about? No, people should start a podcast. Are you trying to discourage? I'm like, no, I'm not trying to discourage anybody. But when people step into the space and try to sell their course or their coaching and say, you should start a podcast. No, I don't know you. Maybe you don't need to start a podcast. Maybe it's a YouTube channel. For example, I had a guy, Vanessa, that came up to me a few years back, and he was a pilot, a private pilot, and he was considering a podcast. So we went through I asked him some questions, and then come to find out, he wanted to show people the journey of being a pilot and a day in a life and all that. And I was like, all right, well, talk to me a little bit about your positioning and what type of content you're thinking about. So at the end, like halfway there, I'm like, brother, we don't even need a podcast. This is a YouTube channel. Like, audio isn't going to work. This is visual. And he was like, thank you. I mean, everybody was telling me to start a podcast, and here you are, a podcast coach, telling me not to do a podcast, and now I'm doing a YouTube channel because I understand content marketing, I understood positioning, and I said, no, you don't need this. You belong there. He started his YouTube channel, and now he has like 50,000 subscribers, crushing it simply because I wasn't trying to feed him the whole podcast, gospel and be like, you should start. No, brother. Like, not everybody should start a podcast. So anyways, I ruffled some feathers because people were like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm like, nah, not everybody needs to start a podcast. So again, ask yourself, you don't get caught up in all this.
Yeah.
Point of view, plant your flag. Don't be afraid to share what you believe in,
So there's a question there. Like, what makes a good podcast? Like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know that I've ever actually consciously thought about this. So like, we're going off the rundown. We're doing it live. Yeah. So like, what kind of thing makes a really good podcast?
Ooh, there's a lot of ingredients, but I think the essentials are, I think, great quality, but great quality content. And what I mean by great quality, because it's a bit vague, is content that's relevant, like relevancy. And content that's high in demand. Like you need to figure out what is high in demand. Very much like when you're marketing anything, a product or service, what's high in demand, and can I add some relevant context to this conversation? That's one. And working with a lot of podcasters in the network, Vanessa, I will say this, and this is something that's not talked about.
Yes.
Come on, get my flag. Keep it real here. Real with Ozeal. Is you got to respect and got to be good at this. You got to be good at interviewing. You got to be a great host. You got to be dynamic. You got to be energetic. You have to have a point of view. It goes back to packaging and positioning. I find that the best podcasters, the shows that captivate my attention, and even interviewing and listening to 80 shows every day on the network, the ones that really stand out, Vanessa, are the ones that are like the host could captivate your attention. Like, they're not boring. They're not like, hey guys, welcome to Ask Your Work Life Pod. No, bring the energy. So I feel like the host can make or break the show. Even if the content is decent or good, but if the host doesn't bring it, and the show is not going to be remarkable. And I think it's relevancy, it's high demand, and you have to be good behind the mic and in front of the camera. You have to be non-negotiable. And if you're shy, you gotta get to a point to where either you are attractive, you're okay with just being who you are for that small crowd. But if you want to make a real impact, you gotta make sure that there's an entertaining element to what you do. If not, it's gonna be boring. It goes back to what you're saying. Nobody wants vanilla, baby. We want Rocky Road. We want Rocky Road. We want Rocky Road.
I once went to, I love, like, the host is really, really truly make or break. I went to, you'll die for this, as a millennial, I'm a Harry Potter nerd. I used to write Harry Potter fan fiction. Oh my God, I've just confessed to that live on LinkedIn. It's fine. We're doing great. See, you just bring all the things out of me that I don't want to tell people. I love it. But Tom Felton released his book maybe a year or so ago, and he was doing like these kind of live events around cities in the United States. There's one in Houston, so we went, and my sister and her husband and I went, and I'm like, one, it's a book from a person that I love. It's like scratching this very nerdy itch for me. It's Tom Felton. I'm in the same room with Tom Felton, my childhood crush. I was such a Slytherin. It's fine. But the host, when I tell you, did not know how to ask a question. Oh, I still have PTSD when I think about that. Like, she would just like, it's like nails on a chalkboard. She had already read the book. None of us had read it because she got an advanced copy and we were getting our copy at the event, right? But she would like tell the story and lead with the punchline and then ask Tom, like, isn't that cool? And he was like, I don't know what else to say because you've just told my story and you've given the punchline. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, lady, I didn't come here for you to read this book to me. I came here to hear Tom Felton. And if he sits here and reads the dictionary, I don't care. But I need you to like get out of the way. Or just like be the conduit by which I experience an interesting part of Tom Felton. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's two things there. Like, the host either needs to understand who they are. Like, take your ego out of the equation. Are you the expert in the room and you're the one teaching and you're trying to like the other person is like the audience surrogate and so you're bringing them along? Or are you just there to facilitate a conversation between the audience and the star, like the real star in the room? You know what I mean? Like, and I think understanding really your role there as a host takes a lot, and a lot of humility, a lot of like assessment to be like, what am I really? Am I okay being this person? I think shy can work for you. I think like crazy boisterous can work for you. I think swearing can work for you. But like whatever you are, don't try to be more than that. And make sure that like you're in right relationship with the other people in the room. You know, like I'm using this as my favorite example these days, but like Meghan Markle's show, they should have scrapped the first 2 episodes. I don't know if you've seen it, but Meghan Markle has this new show. Okay. Whatever you do not watch the first and second episodes. Watch the third one. Because the third one, she brings in Roy Choi, who's a famous chef, and he's from LA, and he started with a Korean food truck, and he's amazing. And what he brings out of her is like, I'm going to teach you how to do something that feels complicated, but isn't. And we all got to remember that Meghan Markle is from a really poor side of LA. And they actually grew up on the same side of LA. And so we're getting into like, rather than this like weird duchess who lives in this castle, we're getting this like on the streets, grew up with Korean food, grew up like speaking 3 or 4 different languages, and just like real human being. It is beautiful. I was crying. I was laughing. I was like, this is incredible. Because like Roy Choi kind of took over and said like, I'm going to show you what the show could be like in just like the most natural, beautiful way. It was so good. Like I cannot talk about it enough. I'm like,
and that came in not too long ago, right?
Yeah, just like a couple weeks. Like
okay. I saw that. Yeah. Okay.
But I think most critics are only getting through like episode 1 and 2, which are totally cringe. I want you to watch it and just like,
I will.
What you think, because I'm dying to talk to you about it. It's fascinating. Like,
and it takes time, right? I mean, it definitely takes time to put in the reps and get comfortable in your own skin. I mean, I know it took time for me to be able to get a little bit more. I remember when I first started my podcast, I put my podcast voice on, like, hey guys, welcome to No Permission Needed with Ozeal. They're like, dude, you sound silky. I'm like, Ozeal, but you're loud. You don't talk like that. And I'm like, oh, you're right. And some people call me out, people who knew me. So it took me a while for me to be like, okay, I need to be a little bit of, I can still, add that vibe, but I need to be who I am. So it does take some time to get comfortable with who you are, but I agree. Some of my favorite shows that I listen to now, there's one show, and the guy is very like low energy. He's just he's a great communicator, and he gets to the point, and that's his niche. He's very kind of straight to, and it's not loud, it's not super entertaining, but the information and the way he articulates what he's trying to teach is super like impressive, and it captivates my attention every single time. That's awesome. Again, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying, just being self-aware and then knowing that. But what about you? So what do you think of like when you listen to some of your favorite shows? Like what are the ingredients for a remarkable podcast? I think
there is a technical component. Like you must have 2 voices that are distinct. Especially if you're going audio only, because I don't have
ask your work wife.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I'll tell you, Holland and I did this. We like just recorded audio notes on our phone in a closet to make sure that you could hear the difference between our voices.
Oh, hold on, real quick. Pause, real quick. Pause.
Yes.
Real quick. Oh my God. See this, that right there. Okay. New podcasters getting into this space. I think that right there is such a helpful exercise for every podcaster to, before you press record and just podcast, record yourself and just create some dummy tracks and just get into the flow of what it feels like to record. And guess what? You don't have to publish it. It could just be for you, but to test and see what does it sound like. And that's exactly what you did. And I love that you did that. It's groundwork.
Yeah. And before you spend any money, like there's lots of really expensive right now. Like it's your phone and just like see what's up. Like and then the next thing is like, do they have something to say? Because anyone can take the news and just riff on the news. I find those that I'm like, okay, those are a dime a dozen, and I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, nah. Like after about an episode or 2, I'm like, I might turn you on just to like have noise in my house, but like, like I'm not invested. So like number 1 on the technical side, like, can I hear the difference between all the voices on the show? And then number 2 is like, do I feel like they have something to tell me? Like their particular take on this topic or this thing. And this goes back to the Cheesecake Factory menu. If you grew up in corporate America, both my parents, corporate America slaves, their entire lives, they just were. But like because of that, they did a lot of that work at home. So my parents were like volunteering at church, doing headhunting, helping with their resumes. And like, this is what we used to do as a family, right? So that's who I am. So I have a particular like deep-seated knowledge of corporate America, and I have a point of view on how to make it work better for you, right? So like then I get Holland coming in here who like just needs to make more money so she can afford shoes for her kid, right? She was making 25K as a yoga studio manager. That's not sustainable. It never was, and it can't be. You know what I mean? So like, so now it's one of those like, how do I had something to tell her, and she had something she was looking for, and I think that both of us had a point of view that met in the middle. And after coaching her for months, she came to me and she's like, more women need to know what's in your head. That's how it started. I was like, okay, I'm happy to do that. She's like, also, I want free coaching. So we're starting a podcast. I was like, you got it. You know what I mean? But like, and then we did have to dial up those personalities. Like she dialed up her naivete and I dialed up my expertise, and just to make sure that like you could feel that dynamic between the two of us. And those are the roles that we played. Like they're still true to ourselves, but it's like, it's a little bit more dialed up because you need to make sure that people understand the difference, and they can relate with one or both of us, right? Either, yes, I'm an expert in this field and I'm trying to level up my career, or I'm totally new to this, in which case they're going to be, and I can tell when I meet people in person, they're like, oh my gosh, I love Holland, da, 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 da. I'm like, that's because you're new to corporate America. When people are like, oh my gosh, I love you, I'm like, yeah, because you're already in your career and you want to make it better. Like, so we've managed to like resonate with two different personas because we both have a point of view that's true to ourselves, and we're executing on it. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of the things that really stood out when I listened to the podcast was the synergy, but both of you had different dynamics, and it really made for a great show. And I think that's something for those podcasters who are looking for a co-host to find somebody that's opposite to add a different element to it. I think is super important, and it's a great strategy to kind of go into it, because if you want, too energetic, it could work, sure. But having that dynamic, Holland's a little bit more subtle. You bring the energy. And here's one thing I want to point out. When I was looking at your description, and again, I just look at just like subtleties. And again, this is a great tip for podcasters out there. When I read your description, it said, Ask Your Work Wife is a podcast for ambitious women who want more out of corporate America.
That is not the Cheesecake Factory menu. That's a specific thing. Right?
Who is it for? And the desirable outcome.
Yep.
Come on. That right there, ladies and gents, is branding, and that's positioning, and that's specific, clear, concise. It's right there. And I love that. I'm like, how amazing can they just crush it with a sentence and tell you exactly who the show is for, what is it about, and what outcome that you're going to get out of the show. I mean, look.
Thank you.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan, Vanessa.
And I'll tell you, maybe we'll end on this note, is like what that also does is like that helps our audience understand what they're trying to get out of it, but it also helps us make decisions. Yeah. So like when we get faced with a topic or a thought or like an idea, there's probably 80% of those that never make it to the podcast because they don't fit that brand statement. What we're saying is like, there's some topics that I would love to cover, but like those are topics that are not for ambitious women. They're the base level thing that everyone needs to do. I don't care about it. You should already know how to do that. Number two is like, is it for someone who's already in corporate America? That's why I said we don't talk to lawyers. We don't talk to anybody in the meta field. We don't talk to teachers. Yeah. They can get something from us, but we're not talking to them, right? And then like, do you want more out of corporate America, or do you want to get out of corporate America? Like, right? So if you want to get out and go do entrepreneurship, I have so many things that I would love to do, like to talk about on Ask Your Work Wife about entrepreneurship, but that's not our brand. It is corporate America. So like, I just have this whole bank of other episodes. It's like, if I ever start an Ask Your Work Wife entrepreneur, that would be what we'd start with. But like, yeah. So
well, I love that. It goes back to what we were saying, positioning, right? It's like, this is for you, and then this is not for you. Yes. But being very clear about who the podcast is for and who it isn't for. I think a lot of podcasters missed the mark on that. And again, it goes back to great branding, positioning, and packaging. So good, Vanessa. So we're going to be, I mean, we have to do like maybe a part 2 later down the line. I mean, this was so much fun. And also I'm really looking forward to being a co-panelist with you. at Social Success. I'm really excited about that, by the way.
It's
Just to
really
see
so
you in
fun.
person and give you a hug. I feel like it's been a
know.
while.
It has been so long. I was like,
About a
why do
year?
I need more Ozeal in my life? Like, what is happening? And you live just down here. So I'm like, let's go.
We're close. We're neighbors, you know?
Exactly. All right. You're amazing. Tell us where we can find you. Anything you want to plug before we dump out of here?
So PodHouston, podhouston.com. If you're a local podcaster, we have a Facebook group, PodHouston. We actually have a couple of events lined up that we haven't announced yet. Also have a podcast called Creator Factor, which is all about helping business-minded content creators who are building their media businesses. So talk to a bunch of YouTubers and podcasters. And yeah, we don't discriminate. We love everybody. We love all creators. So come on down to creatorfactor.net.
All right, cool. You're the best. Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely. Stay in touch. All right, cool.